another draft physics video, science, on YouTube anyway. Yeah, Daftloday. So he's got 4 new videos I haven't watched all of. I watched a bit of one of them where he's supposed to be linking to another 60 symbols video, but it's on relativity, and we've done that, been there and done that. They think they can give photons 2 momentums. That's the bottom line. That it works like a baseball thrown inside a bus, and that's how photons work, and it's not how they work. And the outside observer is going to see the light moving too fast and traveling not perpendicularly. The laws of physics will be broken, blah 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 blah. So I might play that video another time, because he makes a lot of just these handed remarks and then complains that people take time to explain how he's wrong. So he says something preposterous like unicorns exist, and obviously you have to explain why it doesn't. It's like somebody saying the earth is flat, and you have to explain, no, this is why it's not. It takes time to do that. It's like somebody says that building's unsafe. It's easy to say that. When somebody has to explain how it's not unsafe, it's going to take time to correct people who are lazy, reckless, and in the case of Daftloday, malicious liars. So anyway, then he has some idiotic video called "Beware the Testimony of Persons." Well, I think you ought to beware the testimony of physicists, especially the 60 symbols guy who says, you know, suns in a binary system can go supernova, and the system stays intact, no problem. It's not a big event. Nothing to see here. Yeah, beware of a physicist who says that. And then he's linking to this closer to the truth thing or something, I don't know. Limits of scientific models and explanations. The fact that they have so many explanations is part of the problem. And Daftloday is making an argument as if crap like string theory has more integrity than my theory, which would be nonsense to argue. In a fair fight, I win, hands down. It's just all such bullshit. So the video I'm going to play now, I haven't seen it, but you know, it's just, you can just tell by the title, this is going to be bullshit. Daftloday educates DraftScience once again. DraftScience once again. There won't be any education here. All of Daftlodays explanations are vacuous. In the other video, he's again saying that gravitational lenses don't have to be lenses. He's arguing that somehow they don't have to obey any kind of consistency rules or of how lenses function, that somehow you can have pinpoints of gravity in places and somehow that creates a consistent lens, and that the inverse square law, which is the shape of the lens, is somehow not a problem. It creates a perfectly great optical lens. I mean, he hasn't dealt with any of the issues at all. So there's all he's educating me in is how desperately dishonest religious kooks are, and that's where all these people with a physics opinion are. They're religiously science. It's whatever you call that, creation science. They don't give a shit about the truth. They have an agenda. So anyway, play this slop. Speed it up, of course. Done. Volume should be good, so here we go.
Why, hello again there, you lucky sons of bitches. Oh, video there. What the hell?
All shit.
Just Daftloday here, educating Daft Science once again.
Right, so he's going to come up with some bizarre and silly explanation, apparently, let's hope, for how you convert matter into gravity radiation and gravity energy. These are the words the physicists are using. They're calling it radiation. I can quote them. They've called it energy. They call it amplitude. And somehow matter is gone and amplitude in gravity shows up. So there's a clear conversion. And he somehow thinks Einstein suggested that happens, or that somehow Einstein's theory suggests that happens, and that's a crock of shit. Plain and simple. So he's asserting something that's wrong, and clearly, you know, it's good to do a good job of it. it takes time to explain why that can't be right. First, you have to explain what Einstein actually did say, which I have done, and then you have to explain how there's no evidence anywhere in the evidence pile indicating any ability to convert matter into gravity, mass. I mean, even in the accelerators, they don't find that it happens, okay? They find only half of what Einstein suggests, right? Einstein suggests that objects get really heavy as you move them fast. And he suggested as an explanation for why you can't break the speed of light. But clearly they don't observe that in the sense that there's no extra momentum. So when they actually do get things up to these preposterous speeds, their momentum, that is the force they impose, is completely consistent with their original mass going the very fast velocity. There is no indication of some extra mass they have. So it's not real mass in any sense. I mean, Einstein's statement was a little bit of an overstatement. The things can't move the speed of light not because they get too heavy, it's because they get too hard to hit, as I've explained. My explanation fits the data and the facts better and is more rational to boot.
I'm trying to, even though I said I wouldn't. I guess the motivation is that it's interesting and educational to an outside audience. Hopefully, I can cling to that hope. Right, so I have. That's just I probably have that again in electronic books on general relativity. I have a huge.
Right. There won't be any way to do this. Like I said, the speed that the objects are going is only half the speed of light. They couldn't gain enough mass even by Einstein's mass equations, which aren't actual. It's not actual mass. So again, you can't argue for the synthetic mass. And certainly the people making the arguments were talking about any kind of relativity imposed extra mass. They weren't saying the objects got heavier because they were moving.
Amount of books. So electronic books and electronic materials. Well, never mind that. I mean, well, right. So what I'm teaching, hopefully, DraftScience here is a bit of intellectual humility, rather than intellectual arrogance and intellectual.
Again, I don't need the education. You ought to give the education to the people at LIGO and to the people at 60 Symbols. If you think there's an explanation for how you convert mass into gravity radiation, then why don't they point it out? Why didn't they reference the Spitzenwatzen theory or the Butzenbutzen, whatever the theory is that was proposed years ago and totally validated by whatever experimental data that indicated we could now convert solid objects into gravity. I can just burn this in some incinerator and convert it into a gravity force. No, I can't. You know, that's bullshit.
Disgrace. Yeah. The fact that he would. There was a prayer video, the guy who talked in a rather children's presenter voice, if you recall. He clearly says Einstein developed this equation which implies gravitational waves in 1916. And DraftScience, well, at first pass I think he was like, no, didn't say it, didn't want to say it, because I pointed him to it and said what it said, and this, that, and the other. He brushed over it.
What the fuck did that? When did that happen? When did you point to it and say anything about gravitational waves in Einstein? When the fuck did that happen? You lying sack of shit. Yeah, I didn't read the entire analysis of the 1916 paper. I showed the analysis of it, and I read a good deal of it. I explained how I can't do a text search on it because it's a silly whatever Google version of images of fucking text. But anyway, go ahead. This is just bullshit. Everybody, it's a fact. Einstein did not suggest you can convert mass into fucking goddamn gravity, and he certainly had no expectation that gravity waves could ever be detected because the amount of difference, as I explained it, is the way Einstein understood it, and you're lying to say you made a video pointing out something else, but you didn't do it.
And then eventually you went through it, the video, but it was still, I didn't say it, I didn't say it. Right? I've tried my best to explain. Right?
No, you
And,
just lie.
so
You
now
just
what we're going
lie,
at.
and then you lie, and then you lie. Why don't you get to it already, okay? If you have this fucking piece of evidence that Einstein said, yes, you can convert matter into gravity, of course you can. So you can make huge gravity by burning matter. You can make gigantic gravity waves by burning matter. You're 2 minutes and 23 seconds into this fucking video. If you have evidence of that, why don't you present it, fuckhead? You lying piece of shit.
Have his sources other than that to confirm that Einstein was the first person to derive an equation which inferred gravitational waves. Okay, where to begin? Where to begin? Right, the first thing is just look
Yeah. Where's your evidence? He just said it again. Where's your evidence of this?
to the side here, 1970s. All right, and I have a book here on the history of general relativity where I got my
The history of a paper. Okay, it's one paper, and it has a history. Oh, okay.
Eric. Won't do that, but suffice to say, I got a lot of my knowledge about the complexity in the development of the theory from reading an account of, not of Einstein, but of general relativity. And I understood that, in the book it said that we understand Einstein's equations now way more than even he did. Okay? Because the equation.
Yeah, but that's precious. I mean, that's just fucking precious. But anyway, there's nothing to say to that.
Mean something. And what they meant was only figured out by the late 1970s.
Yeah, of course, after Einstein's dead, you can make what he said into anything. And so they've turned it into all this spooky action crap, which doesn't happen, and all the stuff he said doesn't happen. So then this gravity wave thing is one of the things he says doesn't happen. Again, converting matter into gravity was not anything Einstein said was possible.
Okay, so this confusion is a good example of how physics develops. Although Einstein's theory emerged complete essentially in 1915, questions concerning physical interpretations of this theory were not fully resolved until 1970s. Physicists trying to discover the meaning of the theory.
Oh, now they're fully resolved. You see the propaganda here? We fully resolved them now. Now we fully understand, and there won't be any new understandings or any new because we fully understand now. It's just horse shit. I mean, just, he makes a video called Beware the Testimony of Persons, ? And then he just starts reading the testimony of persons.
Were handicapped by its complex mathematics, okay? And especially by the absence of any experiments or observation that could tell scientists how gravitational waves behaved. It was even further difficult for physicists to understand just how confused they were. Some physicists took passionate positions on the subject of gravitational waves based on what we now know to have been flawed mathematical calculations. Right? So, what I'm going to draw you to.
Right, yeah, right. So we now know it's flawed, and so his prediction based on flawed mathematics. And now he's saying, well, we validated his flawed prediction on his flawed mathematics. Right. You want it both ways.
Your attention to is the repeat. Am I in the right booklet? 3 gravitational waves. I don't think I am in the right booklet. I think it's this one, third page. Okay. DraftScience did say, show me the maths that shows this. Well, there are advanced courses on general relativity, and you can be specialised in general relativity. And I guess this is the mathematics. I can't explain it to you because.
Okay, I can't explain it to you. Okay, so nobody can explain it to me, and yet it's supposed to be some kind of fundamental function of the nature of matter that I can create this magical conversion of mass into gravity radiation. That's what they said. So keep pretending that's not what they're saying. Keep pretending this has something to do with some fucking equation. No, this has something to do with some sort of physics, some sort of real explanation of how you can physically do this. How you transform, how you destroy matter and turn it into gravity.
It's beyond me. I know what some of these things are, yeah? U prime, X prime, no, just these are coordinate transformations, yeah? That looks very like the Lorentz transformations, you know, where X is dash is in one coordinate system, X to the U and is in another coordinate system, and you getting the transformation by adding some sort of factor to it. This time it's not a differential equation, but a partial differential equation, yeah, which is an also more complex beast. These subscripts, mu and nu, yeah, mu, nu, and n, they're all symbols which have made videos on general relativity, okay? And so this is the kind of derivation.
Okay, so somewhere in this, though, he's saying there's some sort of argument being made that this equation proves you can convert matter into gravity radiation, bent space, more precisely, the bent geometry, that somehow you actually can kill the matter, destroy it, convert into pure, as the word was used in the 60 symbols video, pure energy.
Of, you know, the wave equations for how gravity works, okay? Radiation of gravitational waves, blah, blah, blah. You want to see the mathematics, it's all here for you, you know, have the intellectual.
Well, where did I say I wanted to see the mathematics? I wanted to see the reasoning. I want to see some explanation of how you take atomic atoms, break them down into some sort of radiation that is in the form of gravity. I want to see how you make gravity out of matter. That's what I want to see. And it's not in this fucking equation. This fucking equation is about distance and time, and that's all it's ever going to be about when it comes to gravity, and you fucking goddamn know it. There's no factor in here of converting the mass into.
Humility to say, I don't get that, and accept that the body of physics out there, and mathematicians out there, have derived solutions to Einstein's equations, which predict gravitational waves.
Okay, so you're just saying they've done this wonderful math that predicts it, but there's no theory behind it. So again, you're arguing in other videos about how you have to have a principle like Huygens or Heisenberg, or you have to have some sort of mechanism. What's the mechanism? Whose name do we put on the mechanism where you convert solid matter into gravity radiation, whatever the fuck that is?
If you don't want to, say, I just don't want to, and be honest about the thing, yeah, I'm not going to, yeah, and if I don't understand it, then it's not true, and just, alright, so, quadrupole, yeah,
I'm just saying, well, if I don't understand it, whose fault is it if it's not within the grasp of understanding? You're saying that there's some real variables and there's real circumstances that somehow they can't put into rational words. They can't somehow explain how you take electrons and protons and neutrons and you disintegrate them into quarks or something, and neutrinos, and somehow you disintegrate the quarks and neutrinos and create bent space. You're saying they can't explain that to somebody. It's my obligation to jump into their newy pooey whatever gluey newy math and become an expert at this obtuse fucking bullshit. Well, no, I'm not going to waste my neurons on that mush. Because I think it's just that. I think it is just fucking mush. I don't believe relativity has a fucking thing to do with realities. Why would I waste my time becoming an expert in something I think is crap?
Quadrupole radiation, yeah? This is a later equation, Einstein in 1918, yeah? It's not quite the same form. That looks more like the form given by the other guy. But I lost the original reference to it. Keep looking.
Why don't you just look? There was words in Einstein's paper. Why don't you show me the words in Einstein's paper where he talked about converting mass into gravity? Please.
Oh, there we are. Written as equation, Einstein was the first to derive the quadrupole formula, and yet, as I remarked earlier, he did not always have confidence in it. It took decades for physicists to be sure that it represented a good approximation, especially for realistic systems where gravitational potential is blah, 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 blah. Right, so this is how we research. We get technical books, and so we got,
All right, so this is how I'm getting schooled in the theory of converting mass into gravity. This is the education. This is the best you can do. It sucks.
You get yourself technical books confirming what the guy says, the squeaky voice child guy says, and then you go to your Google and you type, oh, what's this? Let's get some more verification. Quadrupole Einstein equation.
Yeah, and we'll see what that's about. See if that has anything to do with
Yeah.
converting
Well,
mass
Wikipedia
into gravity.
also confirming, yeah, gravitational waves, quadrupole formula, Albert Einstein, 1916, confirmed.
Okay, so describes the rate at which gravitational waves are emitted. So it's the rate at which the waves are emitted from a system. Nothing about the amplitude of the wave. It says right there, the rate describes the rate of which. What? The rate of which? That's not fucking written very well. In general relativity, the quadrupole formula describes the rate at which gravitational waves are emitted from a system of masses based on the change of the mass, quadrupole moment. The formula reads. Right, so it's exactly what I described. In a system, stuff moves. When it moves in orbits, there's a point where it's closer to you, and then there's a point where it's further away. And that's the wave. You can see my hands moving. That if and that's a wave, right? That's the same as doing this. Well, yeah, this is the same as doing this. Okay, and especially when it comes to gravity, this don't mean too much, but this does mean something when it comes to gravity. And that's how minute the wave is. Nothing in here about gigantic amplitude waves. Okay, so where HU is the spiral part and the trace reversed perturbation, there's the Ken Wheeler will love that, of the metric, the gravitational wave, and LU is the mass quadrupole moment. The formula was first obtained by Albert Einstein in 1916 after a long history of debate on the physical correctness. Observations of energy loss due to gravitational radiation in the binary discovered in 1974. So we have a statement here of the loss. Okay, so we have here observations of energy loss, not mass loss, energy loss, due to gravitational radiation. Now, energy loss due to gravitational radiation. So that's a whole different concept, right? That's like saying something's moving and it gets slowed down by something's gravity. So that's energy loss due to gravitational radiation, not the emission of gravitational radiation. Discovered in 1974, confirmed the results with agreement up to 0.02%, whatever that, by whose standards? So we got the, I guess I'll have to look that up, the Hughes-Taylor binary. So this system of binary stars somehow proves you can convert matter into gravity. I bet it doesn't. I bet you it doesn't. I bet you it doesn't even come close to doing that.
Hughes-Taylor binary observations with agreement 0.2%. Better than your 50%. Are you happy with that? Now go and find the paper and refuse it, okay?
Oh yeah, okay, I will. Yes, I'll do that again. And I've done it before, and I'll do it again. I'll again refute another piece of crap on the internet that people keep claiming is evidence of something when it's not. Just as people claim that that relativity has something to do, some sort of bent space-time thing has something to do with Mercury's orbit. When you actually look at the equations that do that, there's no bent space-time factor. There's just the realization that the basic formula is basically turning gravity into what it really is, which is inductive. That is, the sun moves just as much as the earth. Just as much mass of the sun moves as the earth moves, and in the case of Mercury. And so all the planets are creating a lot of movement in the center of the sun's gravity, and it's the center of the sun's gravity that's moving. That's the procession. That's what's processing. The sun is processing. And that's causing the precession problem for Mercury. But that won't be told the way it actually is. Instead, the lie will be told that this somehow proves that time and light gets bent, when it doesn't prove that.
Yeah? Obtain the books if you want to question this Wikipedia page. There's PDF and other information on this wonderful point.
Again, this Wikipedia page doesn't say a damn thing about converting matter into amplitude gravity, into strength of gravity. It said the word right there, the rate at which the waves are produced. It didn't say anything about the amplitude of the waves. So again, just, and then he says, well, how come your videos are an hour longer than my videos? Well, because you do some kind of shitty thing like this, make these huge accusations, and the content isn't what you claim it to be. Because you're a fucking liar.
Well, if you want to object to it needs it on its terms as it's expressed in thought.
Right, so every piece of crack shit stuff you can misdescribe, I'm now obligated to become an expert on so I can debunk your superficial and not even in the text claims. You don't even quote the fucking text, and you tell me that this stuff means something relevant to this argument when it doesn't, when it's really just confirmation of exactly what I said. Einstein said this is a gravity wave. Something moves in an orbit, comes close, goes far away. That's the wave. There is no conversion theory of its matter being destroyed because it's going faster. Faster doesn't mean more gravity. Where's the faster means more gravity equation?
Just make the shit up as you go along, so we just continue.
No, you just made it up. You just sit there and made up what this fucking article says. You just made it the fuck up. Let's just read this one. Gravitational radiation of binary stars. As to the detection of gravitational waves from cosmic sources and from binary stars in particular, the situation is different. Let us consider, therefore, in more detail the problem of gravitational radiation in two bodies bound by gravitational interaction. If the distance between the bodies is much larger than the size of both, these bodies can be considered as point-like. So here we go. So now they're already doing the, let's not bother with any kind of precision. Let's just pretend, okay, the two bodies, are 1 point. Then here, M1.2 are the masses of the body and their trajectories, and the quadrupole moment of the system is blah, 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 blah. So again, this moment will have nothing to do with creating any extra gravity whatsoever. It's just about the frequency of the wave.
Yeah, gravitational radiation.
Yeah, I can see some more of it. Where blah, 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 blah reduces the mass, is the reduced mass, and R is the relative coordinate using the equation of motion, and the result is its differentiation over time.
Well, binary stars. Here's the calculation.
We obtain where blah is the orbital angular momentum of the system. In this simple case of a circular orbit, we get easily the total intensity of radiation, i.e. the energy loss in unit time. The total intensity of radiation, i.e. the energy loss in unit of time. So again, energy, not mass loss. This energy loss results in particular, this energy loss results in particular in a decrease in orbital period. So they slow down when we know the exact opposite's happening in the case of this other thing. This decrease can be expressed via the world constraint K and E via masses M1, M2, and period T itself, which are measurable. The result for the circular orbit is...
We'll find the
Oh, sorry, jumped too quick past that one. The result for the circular orbit is, let's see, pulse radio, well, anyway, I'm not going to, have demonstrated that the orbital period of the binary star decreases with the rate of, so this is a decrease in orbital speed. the effect is exactly the same qualitatively as it should be due to energy loss caused by the gravitational. So this is about the gravity slowing them down, not producing intensity of gravity. Let us note that the energy of the gravitational waves is huge. Okay, here we go. In the percent case, it is quite comparable to the total energy of the sun's radiation. Let us note that the energy of the gravitational wave is huge in the percent case. It is quite comparable to the total energy of the sun's radiation. Now that doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, there's
the sun's radiation in what? I mean, obviously mass creates gravity. Alright. It is expected that the next few years the gravitational radiation of binary stars will be directly, I can't say, by detectors using laser interferometers. Well, so at least this isn't Einstein, of course, so this is some other guy who's speculating on this process, but this is nothing Einstein said. So again, you know, I can't say the math is bullshit, but I'm saying where in it did it make any explanation for how exactly you convert mass into gravity, and what does this even mean? Let us note that the energy of the gravitational wave is huge in the percent case. Percent of what? You mean it's regular gravity or percent of what? And it says it is quite comparable to the total energy of the sun's radiation. How do you compare the photons being radiated by the sun, or even the other, they're photons, the different electromagnetic radiation coming off the sun. How do you, and the electrons and whatever else is flying off, how do you compare that to gravity? Well, anyway, hopelessly stupid. And how they detected this with a radio telescope, you know, this will be news to the world somehow. They detected gravity with a radio telescope. Now, I think I'll look up the 1974 bullshit for sure.
0.2% that you've just seen inferred on Wikipedia.
Yeah, 0.2% of what? Of their own prediction. It's not oh, our prediction is in 0.2% of our own prediction. It's not 0.2% of anything real.
Gravitational waves carry lots of energy. This is true. You know, a Nobel Prize was awarded for the binary pulsar. There's the maths, the graph, I suppose. You know, that inferred it. Confirmation. All this weak evidence.
Yes, weak evidence. Weak as fuck. You detected gravity waves with a radio telescope. That's supposed to make sense to somebody. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
All these technicals, you know, many books are wrote on this. I could go through them all this supposed weak evidence with all this firm, concrete, black and white writing to back it up. Oh, you've really
Alright, so again, it's just, okay, our Pope, our minister, our preacher said, so therefore it's the truth. You know, that's all.
That's what we can say about Mr. DraftScience.
Yeah, well, we can see what we can say about you. You don't know, you don't have any idea whether that math makes any sense whatsoever, whether it's based on a single goddamn fact or not, and you're just sitting there and defending it. Saying, well, look, it's good writing. It must be right because it's good. Look, there's nice polite sentences. Okay, some of them don't make much sense. Okay, comparing gravity radiation to fucking solar radiation doesn't make much fucking sense. But, well, whatever. It's good. It must be right. They wrote it. It must be right. So I hope you left a link. Link? No link. So I have to go what and find the magic paper you were reading from? Clearly a very modern paper. Okay, so you know, within the last 5 or 6 years, no doubt. And yet he claims this is evidence that Einstein theorized that you can convert matter into gravity. Bullshit. So anyway, we'll leave it there. I was going to play the other video, but I just don't know if I got that. Oh, that's this. Yeah, I don't got the patience for it. Fuck it. No point. So look, the bottom line is there's nothing on the internet. There's certainly no YouTube videos. There's no physicist somewhere doing a detailed explanation, trying to explain how, yes, we can convert matter, mass, into gravity, bent space. And this is how the process happens. The two bodies somehow shred each other, and instead of creating normal heat and normal radiations, they convert it into bent space, the mass. So he says this is good enough. We don't have to have a better answer than this crappy answer. This is the education on the subject. Is some guy wrote something somewhere. I don't even know where that article was written or where it was published. And therefore, it must be true that huge amounts of gravity are created because the two things, when they're spinning around each other, the torque slows them down. And because they slowed down, they produced a huge amount of gravity. Now, the exact opposite case is being argued by LIGO, that the two things speed up and create a huge amount of gravity. So I could say right on the surface there seems to be a difference of opinion about what happens when two heavy things are in a binary system. But we'll see. Fuck. Ugh, hopeless. But anyway, the point's made. Clearly, you people are all devotees. You have a thing you believe in. You don't want anybody to challenge it. And you'll do this kind of desperate crap where you say you'll concede you don't understand it. You can't do the math yourself. You can't give me an explanation of how the process works at all. No insight whatsoever. You'll just say, I believe in this. And that somehow I should too. And that's all you did here. And that's good science. I say it's shit. Okay. It's certainly shit in the context of this argument, which is merely all I need you to do is concede that your theory of reality isn't in any way demonstrably proven by a ton of evidence, and it's just something that we don't need to talk about anymore. Very unlike the theory of evolution, which is very completely proven. You have very incompletely demonstrated that your theory of function is true or accurate. And all I need you to do is concede that point for me to make my argument. But you keep wanting to close the door to any other theory and claim you already have the right answer, when you clearly don't have the right answer. Shit. So, fuck you.